Well, they say running a small business in this day and age is tough. Harsh economic conditions and the rise of online trading, they've created uncertainty for that shop down the road. But what is it really like to be a small business owner in a regional town these days? Chris Harris owns Bay Park Photos in Port Macquarie. G'day, Chris.
Tim, how are you?
I'm really well, thanks. Thanks for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Look, I'm going to tell you what, it wasn't long ago that people were predicting the end of photographic businesses just like the one that you own and run, mainly because of the proliferation of mobile digital cameras. But you're still here. How is business these days?
It's extremely tough, but we found by staying specialist, a special store, we're surviving. We were warned about 3 years ago by one of the industry magazines, stores are going to have to start specialising.
Photographic stores? Photographic
stores going to have to start specialising in a brand. So instead of stocking 4 different brands of camera, stock one brand and run with that. We specialise in Pentax and ran with that. And we find that by specialising, the suppliers look after us a lot better. And we also, there's a big, with digital coming in, there's also still a big place for niche marketing, and most camera stores now are saying, "I ain't got to go digital. Digital's the way to go." But photography has come full circle.
Tell us, what do you mean photography's come full circle?
We are selling now more darkroom supplies than we've ever been selling.
Darkroom supplies?
Darkroom supplies.
Yeah. As in the chemicals and the trays?
Yes. We've sold, and nearly all of the darkroom stuff we've sold in the last 3 months has gone to Western Australia and South Australia, because most of the camera shops now are ditching darkroom supplies and going full digital.
So they're hard to find?
Getting harder and harder to find.
Right. You've been around for 19, possibly 20 years or so. Is there a way for you to compare what your business was like back in those days when you first opened to how it is now? Is it going just as well, or is it are the margins a lot slimmer?
The margins are very much slimmer. Under the old film days, there was good margins in it. We had huge turnovers of cameras. We're selling a lot less cameras than what we were under the film days, because the cameras back in the film days were a lot cheaper than what they are now, and they also last a lot longer. But for some reason, we're still selling a lot more. But now every man and his dog is selling cameras, because back in those days, the photographic industry had it sewn up. Now you've got all the major retailers, and anyone who sells consumer electronics is selling digital cameras. So it's become a lot tougher. So we had to work smarter, not harder.
Do you find that customers come into your store and pick your brain and suck all your good knowledge out of you, and then go online or possibly to another larger chain store to find a better price after having raped you of your knowledge, essentially?
Well, you've actually, I was actually calling it stealing, but you've actually probably used a better terminology.
I couldn't think of a better word.
Yeah, but it is.
It's fairly offensive. I'm sorry.
By coming into a bricks and mortar store and picking their brains.
But people do this, Chris?
Yes, they do come in, pick your brains for all the information, go and buy online. It is stealing. It is stealing our knowledge, and these people know better than shoplifters, because they're using our knowledge to go and get the information, go and buy online. Then they'll come back into us, "Oh, I bought this online, it doesn't work." Then they become very offended when I wouldn't say I laugh in their face, but there's an air of sarcasm.
Well, you asked for a receipt, I'm sure. At the very least.
I'll give them that air. We know what we've sold and what we haven't. But we give them that. There's that air of sarcasm. They get offended and say, "Well, hang on a minute. You bought it online, but you're coming in here with a problem. You're going to keep buying online, but you want us to solve our problems." So in the end, we had to put up a sign, because we had so many people doing it. If you haven't bought the product from us, don't come in asking for our help. They want us to show them how to use, and they expect us to drop everything then and there. We had one customer, one person I should say, recently, had 2 customers in the shop ahead of them. They were waiting for their photos. And the person comes in, drops the camera on the counter, and said, "Oh, I've been given this as a present. I want you to show us how to use it." And I said, "Sorry, I haven't got time at the moment, because we're busy with other customers. If you want us to show you how to use it, it's $50 an hour, minimum charge is $50, and you've got to book in."
Wow.
And they said, "Oh, we're not paying $50 to do this." And they grumbled and everything else. They walked out of the shop, and one of the customers actually said, "What a hide." They couldn't believe someone actually had the gall to ask us to show them how to use a camera and expect it done free of charge.
And he hadn't bought the camera at your store?
The camera hadn't been bought from us. It was a brand we've never even sold.
Quite incredible. Quite incredible. Very clever asking him to pay $50 an hour, I've got to say.
Well, it's our knowledge, and we've got to make time when we haven't got customers to do it. Either or put aside customers' work to make time for them. That's why they've got to book in. to do it because I've got to organise for everything else to be done.
Yep.
While I'm showing them how to use a camera, and it's our expertise.
That's right. I mean, you've got to pay for expertise. That's for sure. I want to make a confession to you, okay? And don't get too cross with me. I am a modern consumer, and I've got to say I make no apologies for going online for the majority of my shopping these days. And the truth is, I will not support a local business just because they are a local business, especially when they're charging so much more than some online stores. And I do believe that my attitude is fairly typical these days, although it's not particularly loyal. Now, I know that you consider yourself a very loyal businessman, loyal to the community. How does it make you feel when I make a confession like that, when I tell you the truth of how I go about my consumerism?
That's one of the reasons why unemployment's now getting to be so high in this area, because they're basically putting themselves out of a job. Because you've got to remember, those who have got an online presence and no bricks and mortar store means they've got no rent, usually paying no wages. So straight away everything's become cheaper. And I had one person one day say to me, I'll buy it from America, it's a fraction of the price in America. I said, okay, tell you what, I'll do you a deal. You come and work for me for American wages, and I'll sell it to you for American prices. And he looked at me, eyes lit up. Oh, this is going to be a good deal. I said, yes, $5 an hour. And people got to remember, Australian wages are among the highest in the developed world. And yet they whinge about the high cost of things. Hang on a minute. By employees people wanting higher wages, it's pushing the cost of goods up, because you've either got to sell more product, but there's only so much you need.
Yep. I know that you've got a complaint about the fact that a lot of small businesses don't collaborate or support each other enough too. In a tough economic climate, you'd think that you would be banding together.
Port's always been a tough town to make living in. Yeah, businesses won't work together. When I first opened up, I tried to get other photographic businesses to work together, and most of them wouldn't. There's so much petty jealousy among small businesses in town. And we found it's got worse with the amount of people moving up here from Sydney. They've got this air of so-called professionalism, but a lot of us call it arrogance.
And they see themselves as your competitor and your mortal enemy by the sound of it.
Yes, and they won't work together. Is
there bad mouthing between the small businesses? Like there's a few photographic stores in Port Macquarie, for example. Does it go as far as bad mouthing each other?
Oh yes, very much so.
Really?
I wanted to work with them, but we've had run-ins.
What sort of things are they telling their customers about your store?
The main one is that there's that we've heard back from other customers. As once again, we've only got customers' words for it, which I'm willing to take a customer's word over anything else. That there's no other lab over outside of town processing photos, and then they're driving out of Settlement City, and all of a sudden see us. So it doesn't look good when you've actually lied to a customer. They don't like. Customers won't go back if you've outright lied to them. But
they just pretend you don't exist at all. That's amazing. Dog eat dog, right?
Yeah. Same token, we get a lot of customers don't like us being blunt about things, and because I'm not a salesperson by any stretch of the imagination. My background is photographics, not sales.
Right.
So everything I say is from a photographer's point of view.
Yep.
And I'll call it as it is.
So you talk the honest truth rather than the sales pitch?
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about modern-day customers, because surely customers can afford to be a little bit more arrogant when there is the whole online cyberspace for them to go and indulge in these days. In other words, you don't have to be as polite, really, because you can just walk out of that store and head straight online if you want to. So are they ruder these days?
They are. Customers are becoming more and more arrogant, and we've actually found some of those are becoming. Some of those are actually other business people that's really arrogant.
Wow.
Give you one example. There was a real estate agent, not from Port.
Okay, good.
Right? From a nearby town, and it wasn't. And that town was not in the Cameron Haven, which really narrows it down.
Gee, thanks, Chris.
Sorry. Anyway, he came in after a lighting kit he wanted to light up a room to be able to take photos. Didn't ask my advice as to what was the best way to go about. He always just wanted all his studio lighting so he could light up a room for photographing for his real estate agent. I said, mate, I can order it in. I can always order it in. I can go online and get it cheap too. And that was his whole attitude. He was just really rude and arrogant. He can't have been overly blessed with intelligence because he had his business shirt on that had his business plastered all across it. Now, do you think I'm going to recommend that business to others? And we don't wear arrogant. We're actually in a very enviable position because we're not a franchise, we're an independent store. So we can tell customers to go and get, wadded in no uncertain terms. And we've started taking on this attitude beginning of last financial year. Last financial year, we had a 20% increase in trade. This year, we're also up on last year because we've been working at getting rid of the arrogant customers.
So hang on, I've got to take a step back. You're attributing your growth in profits to actually getting tougher on on arrogant customers.
Yeah, we don't want them, because what it is, you get an arrogant customer in, especially if you've got a whole heap of other customers in the shop. And those other customers are then turned off. So you get rid of them. You don't want them back in the store, because there are a number of services that we do, like the enlargement services, for instance. We are the only ones in town that do certain sizes same day.
Okay.
So we're in that enviable position that there are a lot of things that we can do that the others can't, or they take. We've got a 24-hour turnaround.
Yep.
So customers know if they want it done, they've got to be polite. If they want to come in arrogant, I want this done now, hurry up, whatever, we don't want them. Because
so how do you go about turning away any customer, be they arrogant or not? How do you turn away a customer like that?
Meet arrogance with arrogance. And we've had customers swear at us, and I've told them to go and get where to go in no uncertain terms. Is a choice clear. If they swear at us, we usually treat them 10 times worse. So they're under no illusions, and then they get upset with that. And I said, hang on a minute, you've just abused us. And I've actually had one, it was Christmas last year. Not this last Christmas, just gone, the previous Christmas. Well, I had a customer standing there beside me, and I was one of the computers actually showing this customer their job and discussing the job with them. Bloke cracks the dirt, storms out, and I said to the customer, excuse me for a second. Went to the door, I said, excuse me, sir, I was actually dealing with a customer. He said, well, the two of you just standing there. And I said, yeah. And I was the only I was the only staff member there. The other person was a customer. I was no need to get aggressive about it. I just turned around and said, mate, I hate rude, arrogant pigs like you, and walked back in.
Wow.
Because it's got to the stage, these customers think they can be rude, arrogant, and everything else, and it's their God-given right to, but we don't have to wear it anymore.
Don't you worry about the bad word of mouth?
Mate, been there 19 years, and as I said, we've had big increases in trade. Well, our printing this year is up. Our cameras and accessories only just marginally up on last year. Our printing's up about 25% on last year. So
you must be doing something right.
And I went to a series of seminars held by a very lovely gentleman by the name of Stuart Goodfellow.
Yep.
And in that, they said, get rid of your dead customers. Customers are categorised into basically 4 areas. Get rid of your bottom rate. They're the ones that are basically the rude, arrogant ones. They don't spend any money. They'll tie up your time. Get rid of them. And as we found, they're now going over to our competitors.
Who can deal with them.
Yeah, and of course, now we're getting all our competitors, good customers coming back over to us. So it's actually, but I'm finding most of these arrogant ones are probably people who've either A, never done an honest day's work in their life anyway, or don't work at the coalface with retail. We've now got a sign on a bucket out the front of our shop on one of the specials tables. It's called our attitude bucket. It says, if you have an attitude, please leave it in the bucket before entering the store. Otherwise, because if you give it to the staff or management, it will be returned with interest.
Wow, you guys are taking a hard line.
And as it is paying dividends. And when sooner people start waking up themselves, and because you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, so you're going to get a lot further with retail staff if you're nice. And same with retail staff. I know you walk into some place and you absolutely cringe. They just got a blasé attitude when it comes to dealing with customers. They need, and I think, hang on a minute, if this person ever comes into me looking for a job, I'm not going to give it to them because they've just got basically the personality of a dead rock.
Let's talk long-term, really briefly. What is the long-term future for a business like yours? Presumably things are going to move more and more online and customers will be more likely to be spending their money online. I have to ask the question, is a business like yours viable in the long term?
We do have a website.
Yep.
We've sold, most of what's been going out through online lately has been, it's all the old style stuff, like darkroom chemical. We've sold, most of our orders for that have gone to South Australia and Western Australia because all these camera shops had to say, oh no, going to go digital. stuff for the old video cameras and things like that. We're starting to sell huge volumes now through our website. Our main problem is logistics. Because we are in Port Macquarie, that's created transport issues and makes the cost of us shipping stuff out more expensive.
Sure.
You've got these places online that are selling cameras at or below cost. A lot of these cameras are coming in from overseas anyway via Hong Kong.
And some of them are fake, aren't they? I bought a very expensive camera, and I cannot prove it, but I am very suspicious of the quality of that camera.
Yeah, there's a lot of forgeries kicking around, and it's a model that's not available in Australia. You won't get it fixed in Australia. And also, chances are it may not have Australian warranty. Because these places don't send it over with a tax invoice or warranty card, things like that. They send it over with a shipping docket. Actually, another one we had was a guy who said, oh, yes, it's got this camera for $200 less than what you can get it for in Australia. Bought it online through a Hong Kong-based company. It broke down. He sent it away for repairs, came back. Still didn't work. Sent it back. He was out of that camera. Out of a camera for 6 months.
Wow.
So is saving basically 30% off your camera that much better when you haven't got any comeback with Australian retailers? Now, if it was bought here in Australia, under warranty, if it was Pentax and they decided to replace it rather than repair it, you'd probably be out without it for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. If they repair, most companies, 4 to 6 weeks if it's repaired under warranty.
In a nutshell, you are moving towards that online presence. You're having to adapt, and you've had to go online, yeah?
Yes, but there's also been a swing back to where, and the statistics were fairly good. Over Christmas, they actually brought out statistics that showed people who are going online, shopping shopping in store, and those come into store. And the statistics we found were pretty well spot on. We had a lot of people that don't want to really shop online. They don't want to give out their credit card details because of the amount of fraud online. And they were actually checking us out online and then coming in store.
Oh, right.
So we found it's an absolute burn. So we've been able to cut back on our electronic advertising and print media advertising and pour more money into online advertising, and it's paying dividends.
Wow. So you're very confident Bay Park Photos will still be around in another 10 years?
Oh, yes.
And you'll be just as cranky with those cranky customers, right?
Actually, my wife said to them, easy to live with these days now. We've actually taken on that line and actually, because we don't have
stress.
You don't have the stress levels of that, so I can go home at night, sleep easier, haven't had anyone roll me up.
That's good. Happy days.
Happy days. Means I can spend more time with the real customers, the spending customers, and not the tyre kickers that come in trying to pick your brains for information, want everything done then and there, done yesterday, and they want to throw their attitude around. I mean, if someone wants a job done urgently, and they're nice about it, we'll endeavour to get it out as fast as we can.
Sure.
But if you're an absolute pig, we'll just say, nah, sorry, go elsewhere.
So arrogant pigs sod off and die, effectively.
Basically,
correct?
Yeah.
So Chris, thanks for giving us a good profile of your business tonight.
Okay.
I really appreciate it. If you'd like to make a comment on Chris's conversation there, you can. 6585 3456 is our telephone number tonight. You're listening to Time to Talk.